Hi, sir.
Hi,
How are you?
hi. I'm good.
So currently, are you in India?
No, yes, I'm in Kerala now.
Okay, great. So let me introduce.
You can,
Sorry.
yeah.
So let me introduce myself.
I'm just asking, just can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's fine.
Oh, okay, fine.
So
Great.
my name is Akash, and I have a YouTube channel called Trying to Know Cinema, and
Mm-hmm.
I work as a web developer in Jalandhar, Punjab. I live in Jalandhar, Punjab, but we are basically from Nepal. We are migrated from Nepal to Jalandhar. Our
Okay.
grandfathers. So I do this because I want to become a filmmaker. I'm interested in filmmaking. That's why I do this podcast.
Awesome. That's good. So you are doing this for the pure passion of it,
Yeah, yeah.
right? That's
So
good.
let's start. Sir.
Yeah, let's do this.
So, sir, your film Riptide got premiered at Rotterdam. So, what was your reaction, sir?
It was it was amazing. Like I'm still, like I haven't got out of that trip actually because I have been it's like my first film. It was my diploma film project, and we were a bunch of students who were working on the film. And then, like even in our wildest imagination, we never thought this movie is going to be seen by this amount of people and in this kind of a great stage to have a world premiere. That is like something that I see in my dreams. like uh, like I go for this film festivals that happens in Kerala, and then you see all these filmmakers coming to the festival and representing their films and the audience responding, and that is something that I always dreamed of. And then you finally make a film, and that film gets to be in Rotterdam, and you get to be there and to screen their film to wonderful audiences and have a great Q&A and after. And it was amazing. Like it was such a kind of like a dreamy experience that I'm back to India now, and it all feels like a dream. And it is very difficult to cope up with this normal life that I'm leading right now in India. So yeah, it was awesome.
Sir, how many shows were there?
There were we had three screenings there. The first screening was on 29th January. Then we had the second one on 30th, and the last screening was on 3rd Feb. And besides that, the film was also available on video on demand as a part of the festival. That was only available for the people from Netherlands. So yeah, we had that was the screening process.
And what was the reaction, sir, there?
It was amazing. Like I was so nervous because we you have these great films from from all the masters in filmmaking and cinema that you are so admiring, and then you have your film there as a part of the festival along with their films, and they are already known in the industry, and people are going to come up for their screenings, and then there you are with your first film. And I was actually so nervous before the screening because I didn't expect not many people are going to come up for my film. So ultimately, whether it is in the Rotterdam or any other great festivals, the people have to see the film. That's the entire point of it. So, but the screenings were great. A lot of people came up. It was actually like almost full. And in the second day, I think we had a sold out screening, and it was amazing. A lot of people came up, and they were very enthusiastic about the film. Like all the people there were to ready to stay back for the Q&A, and we had like such long Q&As that was like 30 minutes or something, and it was amazing. Like people were asking a lot of stuff, and even after the screening, when I was outside, they were also ready to come up and ask so many questions about the film. So it was awesome.
Sir, any other film you watch in the festival you really liked it?
I think I had a plan to watch as much as cinema as possible because the directors who are invited, they have free tickets to watch the film. But because of the premiere and the tension and the doubts, and I couldn't really watch it. But after the second premiere of my film, I managed to watch like 8 or 9 films from the festival. And the wonderful thing about Rotterdam is that they really encourages experimental cinema and independent cinema so much. And yeah, I think I saw a lot of cinema. I saw Anubudhi by Anirban. Anirban. We had a great time there, and that's a good film. Then I watched Seven Seas, Seven Hills. That is by director Ram. Stars Nivin Poli. He's also from Kerala. So seeing Nivin Poli there was also kind of like reason. And I saw I think an animation film. I think I don't remember the name. It was a very difficult name. And then I saw an Israeli film, which is about the the conflict and the things happening right now, and from the perspective of this an Israeli filmmaker. And it was such a great insight into it, the perspective into that. But the movie, like you asked, that really blew my mind was Kiss Wagon. Kiss Wagon was the it was actually it's actually an animation film. It is also a Malayalam film. That was the only other Malayalam film apart from Riptide in the festival, and it is directed by Mithun Murali. He's a great friend of mine now because we knew beforehand from through friends and friends, but it was actually in Rotterdam that we actually met, and we were like buddies for the entire festival, and it was great to be with him there. But his film was like a miracle of cinema. That's literally what I posted on Instagram after watching that cinema because it blew my mind. And I think everybody should see that film. And that film got the special jury award in the Tiger competition and also a FIPSC award. So I was so happy for that because yeah, that is definitely not just one of the great films that I've seen at the festival, but definitely one of the greatest films that I've seen in my life. And I think everybody should see that film. Everybody should talk about that film. Everybody should, like if you love cinema and if you love talking about cinema, then I think everybody should be talking about that cinema. And I think that's kind of like an obligation for everybody who loves cinemas to talk about that cinema. Like Kiss Wagon is just mind blowing. I'm still out of that. I cannot get out of that film. I really want to watch it again and again and again. Like it was brilliant. And Nitin is also a great guy. We had great time there. I miss him really so much now. I want to catch up with him. He's also back in Kerala, so I want to catch up with him definitely. Yeah, the Kiss Wagon definitely for one that blew my mind. Yeah.
So we will talk about Riptide, but how your filmmaking journey started. So first I want to talk about that. Like, what inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Uh, for me, I was not that kind of a person who was interested in cinema at a very young age. Like I never even dreamed of being a filmmaker when I was a small kid. I used to just watch cinema in my home. The films that comes on TV, and my father used to bring a lot of Hollywood cinemas and this kind of slasher horror kind of cinemas from the DVD rental shop, and I used to watch that without any subtitles, but you just watch it, and it will be Chinese, it will be Korean, and what kind of stuff. And I used to watch those films. Then I remember watching Jaws and Terminator and films like that. But I was never that much into cinema. Like I loved cinema, but not that much deeply. I was just watching the mainstream stuff. But I think I'm really indebted to Geo, Reliance Geo, because it was in when I was studying in 12th standard is when Reliance came into this market with very cheap internet. So they offered kind of like a different kind of a SIM for the providers who are working in the mobile shop. And this mobile people who are working in the mobile shop, they had like extra data rather than the normal users. So they had like 4 or 5 GBs per day. And I had a friend in my class, and he had like 4 or 5 GBs in his phone every day, and he doesn't know what to do with that. So he will ask me every day, like, I have this internet in my phone, like, what am I supposed to do with it? And I said, okay, I have this couple of cinema that maybe if you can download for me, it would be good. So I would suggest him some cinema that I got from various sources of social media, and then he will download all this cinema, and I will give him a USB, and he will copy all the cinema for me. So that's how I started watching the cinema. So like everybody else, I started watching, like science fiction cinema and the Hollywood mainstream stuff like Quentin Tarantino and this. First it was mainly science fiction and time travel. Then it eventually got worn out. Then I started watching serial killer films from David Fincher Then I watched more blood and gore from Quentin Tarantino. Then I came to Scorsese. So then that is like how I started watching cinema. So at that point, I was constantly watching cinema, but I never had the intention of making one. It was just like a spectacle for me. It was something that you couldn't achieve, but that is something that you can just watch on the screen and just be in awe of it. But I that to make a cinema for me was something impossible. And at that time, the Indian cinema that I was seeing was just this basically this mainstream stuff. There were great cinema happening back then also, but we didn't. I didn't really have that much access into it. So I thought like people make great cinema outside of India. So Indian people, we make this shitty mainstream cinema because I don't get to watch great filmmakers within my country. So I thought this is something that we cannot do, but we can always watch and enjoy. So that is at that point when I came across Gangs of Wasseypur by Andrea Kashyap, and like I was watching Martin Scorsese's films over and over, like Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, everything. And then finally, I don't know how I got into Andrea Kashyap, maybe through searching or something. I got into Andrea Kashyap. So I told this friend to download me, and I'm so sorry for saying illegally downloading watching cinema, but that is the way I had to say that. This friend, he downloaded the part one and part two of Gangs of Wasseypur, and I remember watching Gangs of Wasseypur in my home. I came after the class, and I just sit there and I started watching, and it was like I couldn't stop. I couldn't take my eyes away from the screen. So I watched. It was like from the two films together, it's like 6 hours or 6 hours above. So I was just watching cinema for 6 hours continually. I cannot take my eyes off. Like it was the first time that I had that kind of an experience watching cinema. So after I finished watching Gangs of Wasseypur is when I felt like, okay, if Anurag Kashyap can make this kind of a cinema with from India, then I can also do this. Like that is at par. Like still for me, Andrea Kashyap is the one who made me fall in love with cinema. Like for before that, cinema was like a spectacle for me. Andrea Kashyap is the one who made me feel like, okay, this is something that is possible by me also. So after watching Gangs of Wasseypur, I started watching more and more of the independent cinema and see. Then I had this intention, like I could do this. So then, but still, filmmaking was something like I watched cinema. I watched too much cinema, but I don't know the aspects of it, the technical aspects of it, or anything of it. But I had this dream inside me to make the cinema at some point. So I started seeing everything that I look upon as a scene from a cinema. I still do that. So like everything that I see, like even if we are talking to each other right now on the screen, for me that's like a scene from a cinema. So that's how I imagine it. So but I didn't know anything technical about the cinema. So that was like a wildest dream. So I went for BBA because that was the easiest course, and then I started studying business. But I studied in a wonderful arts college, so there was a great library, and I started reading, and that's like for me this whole manifestation of art came through because I was reading and I was at the same time I was also watching a lot of cinema. So eventually, this wonderful world where you can explore so much, and you had a great library. I had a great library in my college, so I was going through this wonderful phase, and that's when the college like got abruptly ended because of the COVID. So I was in a situation and I was completely stuck. I couldn't go for any other higher studies that is related to my business studies that I studied as a part of my bachelor's because the world is shut down and I have nothing else to do and I had to sit in my home for like 2 years. And that's when I really, really like we have nothing else to do other than reading and watching cinema. So I started vigorously watching cinema. Like it came like something that I have to do, otherwise I cannot survive. Otherwise, once it is depression or cinema. So I choose cinema, and I was vigorously watching cinema. So I literally made timetables for watching cinema. Like this day in the morning, I will watch this. In the evening, I'll watch this one. In the evening, so it was like in the morning, it will be like a Kurosawa film in the morning. In the afternoon, it will be a Satyajit Ray film. In the evening, it will be an animation film. In the night, it will be something independent cinema, something in American independent cinema, so that I can sleep off. So it was this kind of a timetable I created, and I started following all these filmmakers. Uh, like all their filmography, and I was completely immersed into cinema. I cannot think of anything else other than cinema. So at this point, I just wanted to make something. So this COVID period, eventually got over, and I wanted to. I still had this self-doubt because I have nobody within my family or within my friend circle or within even my wider circle, nobody who is there, somebody who comes from the cinema. So I was really confused. I thought, even if you love cinema, even if you watch cinema, the process of making cinema is so much different. And you have all these people telling you that filmmaking is so difficult of a task, and you're gonna do that. You need money, you need that, this, and it's sort of stuff. There are people who are ready to discourage you in a place like India, and then it came up to this point that I have to really do something. So I thought I will just give it a try, and I will maybe go to some place where where they teach you something that is even related to it. So I went to this media institute where I did this diploma on visual communication. That was not actually for filmmaking. That was basically for uh, a place where they taught you everything that is related to media. So they taught you editing, they taught you camera, they taught you. So it was basically they prepare you for the job market so that you can secure a job in the media field, which can be some cinema is like a something that you have to try there yourself. So at the end of that year, they had a diploma film project that you are supposed to do. So I thought, okay, this is the only point of time where I can do something because I have the equipments which I can take from the institute. I have the lights which I can take from the institute. I have all these wonderful classmates with me who will work on my film without giving them any money. So, okay, let's do something. Let's do something. Let's make something. And we were like, okay, this is like for me the film school that I'm going to be having. My own film making process is going to be my film school. So let's just have fun at the most, and let's experiment, and let's do everything that we can do on every aspect of the cinema. So we just started having great fun, and it was the most difficult point of my time because it was the process of making cinema is so what can I say, is something that you hate so much when you are doing it, but soon after you are done with it, you start missing those days. So so I really enjoyed the process, and it was such a great thing. And we were ready to experiment anything with the film because in our mind, when we are doing that, I would sit with my assistant directors and my cinematographer, and I would say, we can do anything with this film because probably nobody's going to watch this. So we can do literally anything. It is just a lesson for me, and this is just me experimenting and telling myself if this is my thing or not. So that's how Riptide was shot, and Riptide began as a sort of experiment, and then it got into Rotterdam, and everything after that was just brilliant. Yeah. That's the entire filmmaking journey. It's crazy.
Okay. Like when you told your parents you want to become a filmmaker and you want to pursue filmmaking, how was their reaction?
Uh, like I like I was a student who was very bad at science and mathematics. I was very bad at it. So like I used to score literally zeros in exams. So they were really concerned. Like, where is this guy going with his life? So for me, I had to do something that never really comes across maths or science in any way. So I chose commerce. So commerce was very easy for me because it's a very easy subject and it's very logical. There is mathematics in there, but it's very logical mathematics. They don't have this usual, I don't even remember the theories that I learned in maths back then because it's so useless, in your life. But commerce was very easy for me. So I passed with great marks, and they were like, okay, this guy has finally found his voice. His commerce is his thing, so he's gonna probably gonna go to an IIM or some place, and he's gonna get a great MBA, and he's gonna be a great guy. So uh, then I went for BBA, and I also passed with a pretty good marks from BBA also. So they were like, okay, so this is what he's gonna do. So then came the COVID period, and I became this very the loner kind of a person was very silent and who was just watching cinema. And they would always ask me, what are you planning to do? And all those friends that I had were going to UK. to do their masters in MBA and everything. So I was really confused. So it came to that point. I was really not that much communicating to them. So they became really confused. What is this guy actually going to do? What is this guy's purpose? They were really confused. And then out of the blue, I told them, like, I want to study this. I didn't even tell them that I'm going to study filmmaking. I told them I'm going to study something that is related to journalism. I told them I'm going to study journalism, and then I went to study film. So to tell them that I'm going to be studying cinema, which I don't have any confidence at all, was really embarrassing kind of thing for me. So I told them I'm going to study journalism. So the entire course of my diploma, when I was studying visual communication, they didn't know that I was actually doing camera and editing and filmmaking and watching cinema. They didn't know that. They thought I was doing journalism, and they would call me and like, "How is your studies?" And I would say, "Okay, we had this journalist who came," and I would say all these stupid things for them. And so then I made this Riptide, and we had this graduation ceremony where they will play all the diploma films that has been produced during the year. During that day, I invited them, like, you have to be there, you have to come, and you have to see. I have made something, and you have to see. And they were not that, they didn't really want to come because they were confused and what is this guy, going to show us. And then they came and they really knew that I have made something. So I told them, like, okay, sit, and this is going to play now, and it played. And yeah, so I just showed them my diploma film, and that's how I told them, like, this is what I want to be. So, and they accepted it, and they were so happy about it, that they were so happy that I found a purpose in my life. And yeah, it was good. They were very accepting, and they're very open and very supportive of what I choose to do with my life now. And it's great. That's not something that not I expected at all. But they are very supportive now, so I'm happy in that aspect, actually.
So, how the idea for Riptide came? Can you please tell?
Really watching a lot of cinema that dealt with teenage stories, and that dealt with teenage angst, and the confusions, and the agony, and all this adrenaline rush that you have when you are in teenage. And I had a great college life, and that is something that I still miss to this very day, because it was a totally other world. And I was really into politics, I was really into everything that was related to art. So like I like, everybody says that it's a cliche, but like, from the 17 to 23 is the age where you should leave yourself. So I had a great period of life from there. So and at the same time, I was also watching a lot of cinema that depicted the teenage life and everything, especially the films from Xavier Dolan, who is a Canadian filmmaker. So his films represented the problems with parents, and single mother issues, and gender issues, and homosexuality, and the taboos relating homosexuality, and all those stuff. So I wanted to make a movie that showed the story of men so honestly, uh, of a boy who is coming into an age of being a man, so honestly, because it's literally bad to say that we don't have much stories coming out of India about men, because all the films that is coming out of India is about men. But the problem with it is that the films that is being represented, the films that we are constantly being given by the mainstream, it's mostly creates stereotypes for men, where the man is supposed to be strong and caring and given person, and he is supposed to take care of the family. So this kind of stereotypes that is being put forward by the mainstream is actually more causing damages to the men who wants to be different, and who feels out of place because of this constant portrayal of men to be this strong and dominant, and this person who takes care, and the person who looks after the family. And they create such a bad problem for the people who feels and wants to be different in the sense that they cannot find their voices, and they cannot truly be themselves, because of this weight of stereotypes that is been hanging over them. And in India, where who are so influenced by Indian cinema particularly, this is a huge problem. So I wanted to portray a cinema where I could show men, and the teenage and the gender issues and all that is being related to uh,
this everything that is related to teenage and everything in a way. So I wanted to make a film like that, and and that's like the core way I thing I wanted to do with Riptide. And also as a film student, I also wanted to tell a story in like you can only see straight couples having romances on screen. So I was a film student and I was so outrageous, and I wanted to like break everything literally. So if a story is being told linear, I want to say it non-linear, and if it is a romance is about straight couple, then I want to make it homosexual, and and if it is strong men being shown on screen, I want to show weak men being shown on screen, and everything. I just wanted to break everything that is being shown on cinema that has been given to us from the very beginning. So it was basically just to do something and have great fun. And Riptide seemed like a great subject that I could truly explore and have great fun, and we had great fun. So it was basically like experimenting and having great fun. That was the real objective. And this all things was also in my mind, but experimenting was the main thing. Yeah.
And how big was the crew and the budget of the film? If somebody wants to make a film like Riptide, how what was the budget?
Like I said, all the people who worked in the film were students who were my classmates. So, as for the budget of the cinema, in the initial stages, I was the one who was funding it out of the pocket money, and I would also ask my dad to give me some money. I would not tell him for what reasons I'm asking him, but he used to give me. He don't give it to me that much now, but he used to give me back then. So I had saved up a lot of money also, and a lot of my friends also helped, a lot of my cousins also helped, a lot of my like family friends and everybody helped, and that's how I made it. And just because of this thing, I had clearly specified my intentions to everybody who is working in the film. So like this is a film where everything is going to be decided by me, and this is going to be solely my film, and this probably nobody maybe might not even see it, but I'm going to have as much as fun as I want to be, because this is ultimately going to be my film. So I'm not going to be able to pay you anything. Every single intentions was clearly communicated beforehand. So so and all the people who worked in the film were my classmates, and the only cinematographer was one who was not my classmates. He was like a friend, of friend, but who is my best friend now. So we had a great time, and yeah, I think it was just the sometimes there is this saying in that I constantly hear in philosophy, that sometimes you have this burden of knowing things. When you know things, you have this burden of it, and you cannot escape from that. But when I was doing Riptide, I didn't really knew anything, so I could literally do anything. So even if I don't have a particular a light that I have to light up a particular scene, if I don't have that, uh, I will just do it. I will just find some way to do it. Even if I can get a matchbox to light that scene, I will do that, because I don't know how else, and we don't have the budget. So it was basically we were just ready to do anything that comes to our mind. And now if I'm going to make another film, and hopefully I'm going to make another film. Let's pray for that. But and if I'm going to make another film, and if there is a particular scene which demands a particular thing, then I will decide that beforehand, because I already know the process and I already know the difficulties that I'm going to be facing. So if there is going to be, I'm going to be writing a particular scene, and because of this burden of knowing things, I will not particularly write that scene, because we will not be having this amount of budget. So we have to cut this scene, and I will compromise on my script. But while I was doing Riptide, I really don't know anything. So I was like, okay, like just do this, and I really consider. So like we will be with my I will be with my cinematographer in the set, and we will like, okay, we want to do this scene, and he'll be like, okay, we don't have that much equipments that we need to have to take this scene, but we will do it. So we will do it somehow. And yeah, the budget, there was literally no budget or anything. The only budget that we spent on the film was for the fuel, because we made the film in different places, so we have to travel all around, and so the fuel was a major expense, and also the food. So this were the two expenses that we mostly had on the film. Um, yeah, but I think if you just want to go out and explore and have fun and don't care about anything, I think you can make a movie with absolutely zero amount of money, because in this age of technology and this much amount of resources that you have, you can literally make a phone out of your film. You can just open your camera and you don't even want a camera. You can just take stock images, or you can do animation. Everything is so accessible now. So I don't think budget is an issue. It should not be budget should not be an issue that limits you to not making a film. You should be able to make cinema in any way. So I think what I have to say to the people who I just want to say, because of being a filmmaker who made his first film, if you want to make a cinema, you just have to make it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to help you. And if you are a new filmmaker and you have a crazy subject on your mind, you cannot expect a great producer to be backing up for you. You cannot find that easily, so you just have to go out there and do your stuff. And yeah, and if you are honest in your work, and if you truly did the hard work, your film will get accepted. And that's it. That's what I believe in. Like, you have to be absolutely honest in what you're doing, and you don't have to compromise for anything that you do in your film. Then that movie will work. I don't think any movie can go wrong if you truly love what you're doing, and if you're being honest in what you're doing, then it can never go wrong. So yeah, that's the case. That's what happened with Riptide.
Okay. And I want to ask, like, how much time it took to complete the film, like writing, shooting, editing, everything.
um, we had a great pre-production before we started the filming, because for me, writing is something that comes to me so naturally. I cannot just go out there and say, okay, I'll start writing today, and I cannot write like that. So Riptide has been in my mind from a very long time. So when I joined for this diploma, right from that very beginning, I knew about this final project that is going to be coming at the end of the year. So I had Riptide in my mind a very initial stage of the diploma. So I had a great friend whose name was Yasir, and we used to stay in places nearby where I was studying. So I studied in Calicut. So Calicut is a great place which has great food, and there's also great beaches. So every day we will go to the beach and we will sit there, and we will start talking about everything under the sky. And we will talk about politics, we'll talk about literature, the books we read, the music we listen to, everything. We'll be talking all night long, and we'll be walking like kilometers and kilometers. It's probably we walked like 25 kilometers every night. We'll be going to this place and that place. And at one point I started talking to Yasser about Riptide. I have this project inside my head, which I think maybe we can work it out. Maybe we can do as a part of our diploma, because we really have to do something, because we are talking about cinema all the time. Why not we make something? Why not we do something? And so Riptide was on the talks for a very long time. So I was thinking about Riptide all the time. It was like a very natural process, something that happens in my mind, and I was okay. Look, that seems like a good thing. Maybe that I can add into this film, to Riptide, another film. So I have all these things that I was collecting inside my head, and I was writing this script inside my mind every single day. I was detailing the script over and over and over again, and it was so cooked up in my mind that at one point there came this point where I have to submit my script in order to start the film. So my faculty, my sir told me, you have to submit this script by Monday, and it was Friday. So I went home. So at that point, I was so confident and I had everything in my mind. So I went home, and I had a great sleep, and I wake up in the morning and I started writing, and then I would go and have breakfast, and then I would write again. So normally when creative people say is that when you start writing, you lose your mind and you have to write all day and you don't get sleep. But it was very natural for me. Like I can literally plan when I'm going to be starting my writing, and then because I had this thing in my mind for so long, it was so easy for me to write. And when I wrote the script, it was so detailed. Like I didn't knew how to even write script. Like I didn't really give that much attention to the people who came to the institute to teach about how to write scripts, because I think when somebody wrote a script sometime, a perfect script, and he did that out of his own creativity, and that is the model that is still being used to teach students how to write script. So that guy made his script out of his own vision and out of his own creativity that is being taught today. So why don't you create your own version of script? And there is no guidelines or laws or anything on how you should be writing script. So I had these things imagined in my mind, and I just put them all in the paper, and everything was so detailed, like the costumes, the production design, or the things, that every single thing that should be on the screen, and even editing was done on the script. So I wrote such a detailed script, and I completed that like in 2 days, and then we started filming. Then we did a rehearsing. Then after the script was completed, the main problem was finding the actors, because we are a bunch of students and we don't have the money to pay the actors. So that was clearly, we had this casting call posters that we were sharing all over the social media, and that was clearly specified there that this is going to be a student diploma film project where you cannot expect payment. So then we started searching and searching and searching, and I had like very vivid character descriptions for the two characters who's going to be playing the lead. So I cannot just randomly have somebody who's a great actor. I want somebody who just looks exactly what I have written on the script, and we cannot afford to pay them any money. So it was a very difficult process, but we had so many auditions and so many auditions, and we finally found the right people. And then after finding them, I said with them also, and I told them my clear intention, so this is going to be solely my film, and I'm going to be having as much as fun I want, and I'm going to be experimenting everything. And so I cannot promise you if this film is going to be get released anywhere, but you have to keep all your own for the sake of my own fun. So they were like, okay. I stated my intentions so clearly, and then we practiced and we rehearsed the entire scenes before we started the filming. So before we started going for the very first shot, the actors clearly had in mind exactly what they are going to be playing. So the rehearsals and the pre-production was so great that we didn't have there was so much space for improvisation when we are doing the production. So it was a very um, what can I say? Very, the pre-production was so good that the production and post-production was very easy. And but easy in the sense it was easy to take the scenes, but we didn't have the money to make the film in the process too. So it actually took like 1 year to complete the entire film, because and we only shot for 20 days, but it took 1 year. The thing was that we would take this first schedule of the film with all the money that I have, and we will do the film up to the mark where I can with the money that I have, and we will plan that accordingly. And then I will go for some other part-time jobs, and then I will make the money that I can afford to make the next schedule. So then I will make the next schedule. Then I will go for another job, and I'll start borrowing money from people. Then I will take the other schedule and the other schedule. So we had like a total of 4 schedules, but we only shot for 20 days. But that's all happened over the course of 1 year. So yeah, it took over 1 year, but we only shot for 20 days, and that is in 4 schedules. But but it was crazy. It was fun.
So if somebody wants to watch the film, like how they can watch it?
Yeah, I think there is something wrong with the Wi-Fi here. I don't know. So right now we are actually focusing on getting into more festivals, and managed to get a great festival run for the film, because I think in film festivals is where you can actually find the right people, the right audience for your film. Because of course our film is not that I don't like to categorize films into commercial cinema or independent cinema or arthouse cinema. For me, it's basically every cinema is cinema for me. But you have to think about it economically also. So I would say Riptide is not something that you see every day. It's a different film. It's a unique film, and it's more aesthetically driven, and it's a personal film. For me, I think festival is the places where you can actually connect with more people and network with more people who are like-minded, and find the right audience for the film, and find the right people with whom you can work in the future also, who has similar interests. So we are trying to get the film to as much as festivals as possible to reach into the correct audiences that we want to. So um, we are going to try for that, and after that, definitely we are going to plan to get a release somehow. We haven't figured that out yet, but definitely we need to show the film to as much as people as we can. That is clearly the intention. We want people to watch the film. But I think for an independent filmmaker, the festival, the recognition, the awards, this all means so much to finally, make the people who are dealing with the distribution and the releases, and to make them understand that this film, which has no mainstream actors in it, which has no new faces, which is all with new faces and the people who worked as students, but this film has gone to these places. So that's this festival selections and the awards and recognition is the only way for a small film like us can actually put forward to us, our way of getting a release somehow. So we are actually focusing on that now, but we will make sure that all the people in the world gets to see that at some point. Yes.
So currently, are you writing something or for your future projects or shooting something?
I have so many ideas in my head, but how I said with Riptide, the writing for me is a very tricky part. It's something that has to come so naturally. So, uh, just like how what happened with Riptide, I'm doing all that process of imagining things in my head and collecting data and reading stuff that is related to that. For me, reading is a very big part. So I am doing all those things that is like cinema. I have so many ideas in my head, so it's like I'm trying to watch cinema which is closer to the subjects that I want to make, and I'm also reading subjects, reading books and fiction and non-fiction that is related to the subjects that I want. So I'm trying to collect as much as data that I want to have. I'm thinking about it also, and I'm constructing scenes in my head. So once it comes to that point, I will start writing. But I am waiting for that. I don't want to force myself. And the very next film that I want to make, just like I told you before, this burden of knowing, I don't want that to be a weight on my head. I don't want this pressure on my head, like this guy made his first film and it got into Rotterdam. So I don't want that pressure on my head. So I want to cool my head off, and I have this very what can I say? This need to make something that is completely different from Riptide. I don't want to make another film that seems or even resembles Riptide in any way. The genre should be different. The making should be different. Everything should be different. So, and I don't want to rush things. But now the situations are good. Now with all this, great international recognition that we are getting now, it's easier for me to find. Maybe it's easier to find the financing for a film now, honestly, but I don't want to waste that away. I want to make something that is so good and so perfect. So I'm waiting for that. So there is so many ideas, like I said. So I'm trying to make the best thing. So I will take my time, but I am planning on writing something. But yeah, I will write. Yes, definitely. I want to make more films. I enjoy the process.
Afrad, thank you so much for joining. It's such a pleasure
Yeah.
to be able to talk to you. And I really want to
Yes.
see Riptide. Like, if we'll get in some festival, I'll definitely see it. So,
Yeah, definitely. And it was a great pleasure talking to you also.
thank.
Like, I don't think I'm not this kind of a person when you see me in person. you know,
Okay.
I'm a very different person. But yeah, but it was great talking to you. You are a great host,
Thank
and I really admire what you're doing,
you. Oh,
giving space to filmmakers like us to give a space and talk about it. Maybe somebody sees this and somebody feels like I can do something also, then it's great. It's great one way or another. So it's also great to talk about this also,
oh.
like I miss Riptide so much. I miss filmmaking so much.
Hmm.
So to be sitting back and talking about those days and those things I learned from making Riptide feels awesome. So thank you for giving me this
Oh,
opportunity.
it's my